speaking in Nagpur to a gathering of more than 700 Swayamsevaks. The RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat made a stunning statement in context to the Gyanvapi row. Why look for Shivling in every mosque, he said.
ज्ञानवापी के बारे में हमारी कुछ श्रद्धाएं हैं, परंपरा से चलती आई, हम कर रहे, ठीक है, परंतु हर मस्जिद में शिवलिंग क्यों देखना? अरे भाई, वो भी एक पूजा है, ठीक है, बाहर से आई है, लेकिन जिन्होंने अपनाई है वो मुसलमान, वो बाहर से संबंध नहीं रखते, ये उनको भी समझना चाहिए। यद्यपि पूजा उनकी उधर की है, उसमें वो रहना चाहते तो अच्छी बात है, हमारे यहां किसी पूजा का विरोध नहीं, परंतु पूजा वहां की होने के बाद भी वंशज वो हमारे प्राचीन सनातन काल से चलते आए ऋषि मुनि राजा क्षत्रियों के पूर्वज है।
Mohan Bhagwat packed several messages in one single address. History will be history. You can't change it.
ज्ञानवापी का मुद्दा चल रहा है। अब ऐसे मुद्दे हैं, एक इतिहास तो है, उसको हम बदल नहीं सकते। वो इतिहास हमने नहीं बनाया, न आज के अपने आप को हिंदू कहलाने वालों ने बनाया, न आज के मुसलमानों ने बनाया। उस समय घटा, इस्लाम बाहर से आया, आक्रमकों के हाथ आया। उस आक्रमण में भारत की स्वतंत्रता चाहने वाले व्यक्तियों का मनोधैर्य खच्चे करने के लिए देवस्थान तोड़े गए, हजारों है। हिंदू समाज का विशेष ध्यान जिन पर है, विशेष श्रद्धा जिनके बारे में ऐसे कुछ है, उसके बारे में मामले उठते हैं। प्रतीकात्मक कुछ हमारी विशेष श्रद्धा थी, ऐसे स्थानों के बारे में हमने कहा, लेकिन रोज एक मामला निकालना नया, ये भी नहीं करना चाहिए। हमको झगड़ा क्यों बढ़ाना है?
The most operative part of the speech, the RSS chief made it clear, no agitation will be launched by the Sangh to claim Gyanvapi.
किसी के विरुद्ध नहीं है और विरुद्ध मानना नहीं चाहिए। मुसलमानों ने तो नहीं मानना चाहिए, हिंदुओं ने भी ये नहीं करना चाहिए। अच्छी बात है, ऐसा कुछ है, आपस में मिल बैठकर सहमति से कोई रास्ता निकालिए, लेकिन हर बार नहीं निकल सकता। इसमें कोर्ट में जाते हैं तो फिर कोर्ट जो निर्णय देगा उसको मानना चाहिए। अपनी संविधान सम्मत न्याय व्यवस्था को पवित्र सर्वश्रेष्ठ मानकर उसके निर्णय हमको पालन करने चाहिए, उनके निर्णयों पर प्रश्न चिन्ह नहीं लगाना चाहिए।
However, there is a contradiction. The RSS Sarsanchalak's remarks come 3 weeks after Sunil Ambekar, the RSS's All India publicity in charge, who said while talking about the Gyanvapi dispute, historical facts cannot be hidden for long. I believe we should let facts come out in the open. In any case, truth always finds a way of coming out. How long can you hide it? I believe the time has come to put historical facts in the right perspective before society. What Mohan Bhagwat said today, is it the view of the Sangh or the personal opinion of Mohan Bhagwat? Will the RSS chief's statement prove to be a game changer? Will it stem the clamour by the Mandir Vapsi brigade? Will Bhagwat's speech douse the polarizing fire? Top focus on To The Point this evening.
All right, Priya. So one really needs to question here that are these the personal views of the RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat, or is this the RSS's official line? Because viewers, on RSS's agenda, Kashi has been older. Kashi, where Gyanvapi is, has been older than Ayodhya, where the RSS agenda is concerned. The RSS first passed a resolution on Kashi Vishwanath in 1959. A resolution on Ayodhya only came in 1987, so Kashi is older than Ayodhya. Mandirs have figured in RSS resolution thrice. In 2003, RSS urged the government to bring a law to restore disputed sites. 1959 resolution was titled Issues of Temples Turned into Mosques. 2003 resolution was titled Ayodhya, Kashi, Mathura. 2007 RSS book says Ayodhya, Mathura and Kashi are holy places popular to Indian ethos. The sung slogan, Ayodhya to bas jhanki hai, Kashi Mathura baki hai. What about all of that in context of none else but what the RSS chief said, Mohan Bhagwat? With what he said, viewers, would pretty much stem the polarizing factor which is right now clearly on display after what we have seen gone down with Gyanvapi, the entire dispute or the row over Gyanvapi. So interesting to put that in context. Let's take this now to our panelists this evening. I have with me Neha Joshi, spokesperson, Bharatiya Janata Party. Very short while we'll be joined by Waris Pathan, spokesperson, AIM. I also have with me Sandeep Mahapatra, advocate and political analyst. I want to begin with Mr. Mahapatra first. He's quite attuned to the RSS ideology. So Mr. Mahapatra, you know, what we ended our entire story on this was the entire context to it. And I want to ask you the question, are these the personal views of Mohan Bhagwat, or somewhere down the line, are these now possibly the changed views of the RSS? Because if you look at it, and me and our research team have been, you know, going through all the evidence so far, and with what I can really come up is, right from the beginning, you know, the demand for Kashi, the issue, the agenda of Kashi, where Gyanvapi is even older than Ayodhya for the RSS. So is there a change of heart with what Mr. Bhagwat said yesterday, that after Ayodhya we will not spearhead any movement, including Gyanvapi?
See, your questions, if I have understood correctly, are into 2 or 3 parts. I'll address each part separately. First of all, you asked me whether the view that Sri Mohan Bhagwat ji expressed yesterday was his personal view. I would like to point out that when the Sarasanga Chalak, when the chief of the RSS speaks, it is the RSS's view. Number one is that. Now, coming to the second question regarding a change of view or change of heart, as has been portrayed by you or various other social media, I would like to mention here that you have spoken about the resolutions being passed by the RSS in the past, be it 1959, 2003, going at 2007, and so on and so forth. But while discussing about Gyanvapi, please do remember that when the Ayodhya movement also started, the very fast the movement that started in the 80s and it picked up in the 90s, at that point in time also the view that was prevalent within RSS and the other organizations of RSS is that let's talk it out. And if you remember, and there are like historical, and this has been documented, at certain point in time the discussions were also held and it was going to fructify. But we know for a fact that because of various interventions those are made by the so-called historians who told the Muslim side that the evidence that will be put before the court of law would support their case, the talks fell through, it did not fructify. Likewise, in case of Gyanvapi, what Mohan Bhagwat ji has said is that let's talk it out. He has said 2, 3 very important points he has made. Number one, he has said that the Mughals were the invaders. They came to India, they invaded India, they destroyed the places of worship all over India. The second thing he said, that they may have destroyed various places, but places like Gyanvapi are important for us. Places like Gyanvapi has an important place in our heart, and what he has said, and most importantly, it is RSS which may not be doing any andolan, but he has not said that the population which feels, or the Hindus who feel that it has to be brought to the notice of the court of law, or it has to be brought to the notice all through. They are not stopped from taking it up on their own, and when he says taking it up on their own through a due legal process, please remember that this is very important, and this goes against whatever is being said by other fanatic elements, jihadi elements, who want to decide everything, who want everything to be decided on the road by mob fury and so on and so forth.
But Mr. Mahapatra,
so therefore,
right. But Mr.
Bhagwat has re-emphasized that everything has to be done within this constitution, keeping in mind the interest
within the legal purview. But Mr. Mahapatra, I'll just take you back to that the biggest, I would reckon, the most operative part, because the various resolutions that have been passed, and in 2003 as well, the fact that the basic slogan of the RSS was after Ayodhya, now it's the turn of Kashi and it's the turn of Mathura. So for the RSS, now it seems that is, at least if you go by with what Mr. Bhagwat said yesterday, that after Ayodhya, the RSS will not spearhead any movement where a temple is concerned. So is that laid to rest there?
See, the point is the resolutions that are being passed by RSS, if you see the history of the resolutions, and it has been well documented, the resolutions are passed by taking into consideration the at that point, the facts and circumstances of that point in time. And it reflects the mindset, so to say, of the society at large, as understood by the RSS. When Bhagwat ji says that for Gyanvapi, RSS is not going to do any Andolan, he is not for a moment saying that Gyanvapi is a given cause. Rather, he is saying that this is a cause which needs to be sorted out by mutual discussion. If some people feel or aggrieved of something, then they are open to go to the courts of law, and the decision that will be given by the courts of law.
Okay, so in the current context, right, so in the current context, you know, the RSS chief has made it clear, at least as of now, the RSS is not going to take it forward. Neha Joshi, appreciate the patience. Thank you for joining us. So that brings me, Ms. Joshi, onto the political connotation of it all. Because at the back of it, yes, there have been leaders from the Bharatiya Janata Party which have clearly said that let the courts decide, it's a matter with the courts. But many leaders, and there's been a legion of that, which include the Deputy CM of Uttar Pradesh as well, who have very clearly said that with the discovery of a Shivling, the truth will come out. Right now is the turn of Gyanvapi, Kashi, the next is Mathura. Would you think that political rhetoric should stop now? Because at least the RSS chief because that's the ideology of the BJP, somewhere down the line, that road has been blocked by the RSS chief saying himself that don't start looking for Shivlings in every mosque.
Thank you, Preeti. Thank you for having me. First of all, I can't really speak on behalf of the RSS, but what I understand of the Hindutva that RSS espouses is that Hindutva is not an exclusive ideology. In fact, it is an inclusive national vision. And anybody who follows the RSS, whether it was last year when there was huge outrage when Mohan Bhagwat ji said that, Hindus and Muslims share the same DNA, or back in 2018 when he said, India cannot remain India if Muslims are eliminated, So there was a lot of outrage then too, and a lot of questions and debates around this, but that is the point, that the ideology and the Hindutva that the RSS speaks about is in fact inclusive. And his statement today was very, very nuanced, yesterday was very, very nuanced. He spoke about how historical wrongs need to be corrected via, legal means. He spoke about how it was important to not blame, the current population, whether it's Hindus or Muslims, for wrongs that were committed in the past. However, if something needs to be challenged, it needs to be challenged the right way, not on Twitter, not on the streets, but in the courts of law, as has been laid down in our constitution. So he in no way said that whether it was Gyanvapi or any other such disputed site was a lost cause. He was in fact giving a clear message to the larger Hindu community that we need to go ahead and fight for our convictions, but the fight needs to be in court. So I think this is absolutely in line with what we have as a party also espoused all through. Now you see, you will have individual statements floating around of party leaders, but largely the BJP stand on this, whether it was Mr. Nadda's statement very recently or any other of our senior functionaries. It's been very clear. These matters are in court. The court decided to, listen to this petition. The court decided to order the videography. The court decided that these findings should be made public. So I think the law is taking its course, and we as a party or as a larger Hindu community are largely satisfied with what's happening.
I want to bring in Waris Pathan as well into this conversation, spokesperson AIMIM. Mr. Pathan, would you see the statement of Mr. Bhagwat as possibly a balm right now, with what we've seen, a deep communal wedge which has been drawn, where, many times you have also elucidated the spin-offs of all of this, everyone trying to claim a Shivling in a mosque in any possible city. Do you see that will help in placating at least that one set?
Well, Preeti, firstly, Mohan Bhagwat is not the Prime Minister of our country. He is not holding any constitutional post to declare what he wants to say. Secondly, similar thing happened during the Babri Masjid issue. Affidavits were filed in the Honorable Supreme Court saying that nothing would happen to the Babri Masjid and we were made fools, and what happened, we all saw. 6 December 1992, our Babri Masjid was demolished. So how do you consider their statements to be true? It is just a lip service. There is something in their heart and something on their lips, something in their mind. And who will listen to them? They say we will have to follow the court's orders, Supreme Court's and other courts' orders. But did they follow the law enacted by the Parliament? The Places of Worship Act 1991 is a law which is enacted by the Parliament, and it is clearly says that you cannot change the nature and structure of any place of worship as on 15 August 1947. And when the matter went to Supreme Court in the Babri Masjid civil dispute case, the Supreme Court took cognizance of this, and they said that yes, it is a part of the constitution and you cannot make any amendment or changes to it. But did the BJP, the Vishwa Hindu Parishad or the Sangh Parivar, who's a part of it, follow the Supreme Court judgments or the Parliament law enacted by the Parliament? I would ask a simple question to Mr. Bhagwat, that do you accept the Places of Worship Act 1991 which was passed by the Parliament? No, he wouldn't accept, because the Sangh Parivar, now he says, BJP's President of Telangana, he said that we will have to dug the entire mosque in all over country. He made a statement. What steps have they taken against him? Nothing. So we say that these are just lip service done by Modi. Okay. And why Modi is silent? Why Modi does not make any statement? Earlier Modi and Mohan Bhagwat ji said on mob lynching issue. Who listened to them? Even after they said mob lynchings took place in our country, and several of our Muslims were killed merely on the name of cow or by not uttering the word Jai Shri Ram. So nobody listens to them. But coming at this stage and making this kind of statement, we feel that they are trying to create the same atmosphere of the Babri Masjid era by taking away our Gyanvapi Masjid as well. Are they in that? Are the intentions that? Let them make it.
All right.
Because
so
see,
you
we
think
don't
it's
believe
lip
their
service.
words. Their words are not
Right.
truthful. We have seen it.
Okay, so you say you've been burnt in the past. This is all lip service. But I'll give you, an example, Neha Joshi, as I bring you in, because there's some credence to what possibly the AIMIM spokesperson, Mr. Waris Pathan, your co-analyst, is saying. Because as we speak, Neha Joshi, Section 144 has been imposed in Srigangapatna after VHP and Bajrang Dal have threatened to enter the Jama Masjid because they feel that there is a temple bracket inside the Jama Masjid in Srigangapatna. So, there are spin-offs which are taking place as we speak.
And that's why, Preeti, it's very important what Mr. Bhagwat said, or in fact, for that matter, what Nadaji said very recently at a party forum. This is a clear message that, while we need to fight for what is right, Mr. Bhagwat has in no way said that, Mathura is a cause that we do not need to pursue. However, the law will take its course. Mr. Mahapatra can probably speak more about...
But Ms. Joshi, he's also said that after Ayodhya, the cause of Mathura or Kashi is something that RSS will not pursue. They will not... yes.
And let's take it... I'm willing to take his word for that, and so is the rest of the country. But you can't hold him responsible for what's happening in, Srigangapatna or, fringe elements acting up somewhere.
Waris Pathan, fringe elements will be fringe elements. They come from, your side of the divide as well, and they come from the Hindu side of the divide as well.
They are Modi's foot soldier. What happens is that when a cricketer's thumb gets fractured, Modi comes and tweets for it. But when a matter like Gyanvapi comes before the entire nation, Modi does not have time to tweet. When so many people in Jhansi lost their homes everywhere in the country, Modi did not have time to tweet. Modi does not... Can you imagine, madam, that without the support of Modi or the BJP, these fringe elements could go so far? Can you believe that only 5 women of our Hindu sisters went to the Supreme Court asking that we want to pray the whole year? And how these things turned into? They again went before the court. They took an order which per se we call it unconstitutional for survey of the place. And after doing the survey illegally, the survey commissioner goes before the media rather than going before the court and claiming that, oh, Baba mil gaye. Though it was a fountain, and I would challenge.
So you have no faith, sir.
There are several mosques in our country.
Mr. Waris Pathan, Mr. Mahapatra, coming to you, sir, there's no point. Nobody can hear anyone.
They are trying to create an atmosphere of hatred.
Okay. Mr. Mahapatra, 30 seconds, sir. Go ahead. You wanted to come in for a rebuttal. Go ahead.
Yes. See, Preeti, the point is, every time this issue comes up, 1991 Act also is being brought about by Mr. Waris Pathan. I want to ask him, to you, that a legislation was passed by the Parliament on 370. A legislation was passed by the Parliament on CAA. Who are the people who are protesting on the road? If you have so much of confidence on the laws passed by, or so much of respect, I must say, on the laws passed by the Parliament, and you show me 1991 Act, Mr. Pathan, the question comes back to you. what happens to 370, the repeal of
Okay.
370, and now talking about
All right.
mob linkage
Mr.
and other
Waris
things.
Pathan, the question is
Please
you
also
cannot
remember-
pick and choose.
That means that you don't
Okay, sir,
accept
you
what
pose
the
that question.
BJP...
Let me take it. It's
If
two
I
against
take his
one.
statement,
It's
then
two
it
against
means
one.
that-
Let me be fair.
So far
Okay.
as 1991 Act
Okay,
is
sir, you
concerned,
made your point. You made your point, Mr. Waris Pathan. You can't pick and choose on the laws made by the Parliament that you want to subscribe by, the others that you want to reject. Go ahead, sir. Mr. Pathan.
No, this is totally lying. He is lying. Babri Masjid judgment came. We accepted. We said on that day the mosque would have been there. Today the judgment would have been different. That is what we said. But here he is saying we will not accept Parliament. The way he is speaking, the advocate Mahapatra, he is saying that because you did not follow CA and RC, we will not accept the places of worship Act 1991. That is why I am asking him. See, this is not a way to debate, sir. Have a decent
Sir,
debate.
there's no
I
point.
don't
Nobody can hear.
I don't
Sir,
know.
it's two against one. Mr. Waris Pathan, quickly make your point.
My simple question to him is that does he accept the places of worship Act 1991, because during the debate in Parliament, the Gyanvapi issue was also brought up by Uma Bharti, who was the member of Parliament at that time. And after taking into consideration all the aspects of Gyanvapi and the other religious structures on 15 August 1947, our act was created. So what is the use of the Parliament then if the BJP itself
Neha Joshi,
does
10 seconds, I'm going to
follow
wrap
the
up.
Parliament Act? Then what face will they go before
Neha
the country?
Joshi, sir, let me go to Neha Joshi.
Accept a law. A law is a law is a law. A law passed by the Parliament is a law. You can question it, you can debate about it, but it's only for the Parliament to decide, or the courts of this country to decide whether a law is valid or not. So I don't think that's a valid debate to have. However, as Mr. Mahapatra pointed out, it's a valid question that how can you question one law and then vehemently support the other, saying that it is law of the land.
All right. May I, with the permission of all three of you, bow out of this debate. Appreciate all three of you for joining us. The fact is, if one just focuses on what the RSS chief said, which is, viewers, with what we've understood by our research, is away from what the RSS line has been till now, because Kashi has been on the agenda of the RSS from 1957. Mohan Bhagwat's speech, most operative part, said that after Ayodhya, at least for the RSS, they are not going to spearhead any other movement, be it Kashi or Mathura. What does that mean? What could be the possible implications of that? Time to tell.